AI and its impact. Big topic for this week. Who chose that? Not me.
I think it was Antoinette, actually.
It was probably me. Sorry.
Antoinette was like, AI is destroying the environment. I was like, not so fast. There's two sides of this story.
You guys know I'm a skeptic, right?
Me too.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys are going to present us two different sides of AI. So at the end of this show, I feel like I'm just going to make up my mind. So.
I don't think it's black and white. It's more
Okay.
nuanced than
Okay.
that. But
But how did we get in? Why did we start looking into it in the first place? Something about a drought in the UK?
Yeah, so we got into this. I mean,
Wait,
this was my.
there are
my
droughts in the UK?
Yeah. So over the summer, there was a warning about large parts of the UK being in drought, and Thames Water, like a really big water company, said deleting screenshots and emails could help save water. And I didn't know how. I didn't know how that could work. So I started looking into it, and it's because a lot of data centers are using a lot of water. And they said that deleting 1,000 emails with attachments could save 77.5 litres of water a year, which was quite shocking to me. So I looked into it a bit more for a video. The massive growth in AI and cloud storage has led to huge global demand for data centres and consequently electricity and water. Electricity demand is expected to more than double over the next 5 years, by which stage data centres will consume as much energy as the entire country of Japan today, according to the International Energy Agency. It says the US is on track to consume more electricity in 2030 for processing data than for manufacturing aluminium, steel, cement and chemicals combined.
We're driving through Potters Bar, which is a pretty small town to the north of London. And this small town is soon to be home to the biggest data centre in all of Europe.
This will be the site of what was until recently known as DC01, a data centre bought by Equinix in October, which supplies Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and even Netflix. Equinix plans to build it in this field.
Footpath 39.
Ros Naylor formed a community action group, which has so far failed in its bid to stop the development.
So one of the buildings will be here. It'll be the size of Wembley Stadium.
How'd you feel when you first heard it was going up?
Oh, very sad. Greenbelt is incredibly important, not just to Potters Bar, but to London. It's the lungs of London. And you take that away, what do we have? A data centre.
The fear for me is that we're only looking at the positives of data center and we're not looking at what is it that we are destroying to get there. And how do we balance both? How do we make them sustainable?
Equinix argues the centre will bring new opportunities and could actually improve the environment.
What plans do you have to keep DC01 cool, and what cooling system are you using?
Well, the new Equinix Hertfordshire campus is going to be using dry cooling rather than evaporative cooling, which means that the water usage on site will only take on a very small amount of water equivalent to that of an office building or 20 houses. The site itself is going to be 250 megawatt facility. That's probably equivalent to the amount of power a village would use. We will be connecting directly to the substation, and that power network will be independent of homes and businesses. We will be enhancing the environment and contributing to the biodiversity net gain of the area, and we'll be leaving over 50% of the development as green space.
It's not just locals here who are concerned on environmental grounds. Leading tech companies have pledged billions of pounds to build data centres around the UK, prompting Thames Water, the UK's largest water company, to issue a stark warning about the increasing numbers of data centres, saying the southeast of England is a water-stressed region and data centres can use upwards of 1,000 litres of water per second, which is the equivalent of 24,000 homes' usage. But globally, demand for data centres is only set to increase, and rapidly. In May, OpenAI and NVIDIA were among companies who announced a project called Stargate, a giant $500 billion cluster of AI data centres in the US and a sister project in the UAE.
How many times have you had a question you probably could have found the answer to on your own, but just to be sure you've turned to an AI chatbot to make sure you're on the right track? While you may be saving yourself time and energy, you're using loads of energy from places like this.
On the edge of the desert which surrounds Dubai sits the Gulf Data Hub. There are 4 campuses that house thousands of servers, both providing cloud storage and AI processing. It's part of a rapid move by Gulf countries to build more data centre capacity to meet demand.
Why are you building all of these data centers?
So all the hyperscalers are moving into this region, deploying a large amount of AI workloads, cloud workloads. For compute power, you need infrastructure, campuses like this. My role will be to provide power and cooling. We understand the harsh environment here, and we design according to these conditions.
Harsh environment is right. Summer temperatures here regularly exceed 50 degrees Celsius or 122 Fahrenheit. Keeping the data centre running requires lots of cooling and in turn massive amounts of electricity. I was taken to see how this business keeps the lights on and its servers running.
How many batteries do you think there are?
About 450 in this room, approximately 2,000 batteries in this building.
These batteries are just one part of the whole backup power system to stop it from overheating. 80% of the electricity is drawn from the UAE's electricity grid, most of which is generated from fossil fuels. Long term, the business wants to rely on something the Gulf has plenty of: sunlight, and power its data centres with solar power.
Do you have any thoughts on the impact that will have on the grid?
No, in fact, they are building a lot of capacities to support that. Now we have a huge solar plant here. As of today, 20% of the load is through a renewable source. The idea is by 2030, 2035 to reach 100% of renewable energy source.
We don't really know how much like a single query to say a ChatGPT, how much data that actually uses up, do we? It's like difficult.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to work out. So there was this stat that was widely circulated earlier in the year that said a AI search uses 10 times the amount of data, like energy, to a typical Google search. But CNN Climate looked into it and actually found that it really depends on what you're asking and what sort of response and the amount of like work it needs to do to generate the response. So it's a pretty imperfect science. Because Bijan asks a lot. There's a lot of queries I can see on your phone.
No, but I remember Sam Altman, the CEO or the founder of OpenAI, coming out and saying, please stop saying please and thank you, because it's like costing the company millions, but it's also, you know,
using all this energy.
Yeah, it's using energy as well, because it sends another parameter that OpenAI has to deal with and react to.
And you know, I always need a sports stadium for a frame of reference for anything, so I appreciate you including that. But given how water stressed that part of the UK is, and this region as well, I mean, surely it's not sustainable, right, to keep building all of these centres?
Yeah, well, notably, this one isn't using water. This is using what's called dry cooling, so it relies on like the ambient air, so that just means the outside temperature. So it's using about the amount of 20 homes water. It's not as bad as some of the other hyperscale centres, which use huge amounts of water, but I agree. I don't know how they can keep being built with this water issue.
I'd also be curious to see how they kind of work around like heat waves in London when they come up and arise.
Because obviously it's a really cool place. It's cold, but we do get heat waves. You know,
believe it or not.
Yeah, believe it or not, 2-3 weeks of the year.
Well, that's why there was a drought. Right?
Yeah,
exactly. But I grew up not far from that place that you were filming in, and I can't believe that they're going to build something that big there.
I can't, having been there, I can't even conceptualize it being the size of Wembley. Like, I've been to Wembley, I've been to that site, and I can't conceptualize it. It's huge.
Yeah, my jaw dropped when I heard that field is going to host a Wembley-sized building.
It's huge. But do you know what? Watching your video, it just made me think, like, maybe we should all be moderating how much we're using AI, because, you know, if it does have an impact on the environment, which it does, we should be thinking about our choices and our carbon footprint in the same way that we think about how many flights we're taking, how much meat we're consuming.
Recycling.
Exactly. Like, if we don't really need to ask AI, sorry Bijan, every 5 minutes, you know, silly little things, then maybe we shouldn't.
I just need a little help in life, you know? No, but it's not all doom and gloom either. I mean, obviously AI uses a ton of energy, but it's also being used in different applications when it comes to like helping the environment and for conservation. So that's something I've been working on. We're going to take a quick break and then we can look at that when we get back. You're all going to be very... Let's talk about birds. And not just any birds, I want to talk about these birds in Hawaii. They're pretty special because most of them don't exist anywhere else on the planet. But here's the problem. A lot of them are disappearing, and fast.
There's no native mammals in Hawaii. There's no native reptiles or amphibians. And so birds played this really important ecological role, you know, as pollinators and seed dispersers. But, in the last few hundred years, incredible levels of extinction, in a lot of different groups of birds.
In the mountains around Mauna Loa, Professor Patrick Hart and a handful of students are using artificial intelligence to help save these species.
Well, I think I just heard an Evie off in that direction. Did you hear that, Samson? I thought you...
I thought I heard something a little while ago.
And then I thought I actually heard possibly a juvenile Evie begging call, which is a good sign.
The Evie is one of Hawaii's threatened birds. Hearing one is rare, but for Patrick, identifying them comes naturally. He loves these birds. I mean, he really loves these birds. Can you give me some of your best impressions?
In Hawaii, a lot of the birds are named after what they sound like. So the Evie, it sounds like the ua'u goes uwa, 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 uwa. Elipaio is elipaio, elipaio. I'm terrible at all of them.
Unfortunately, these calls are getting harder to hear because a lot of these birds are dying from avian malaria.
Mosquitoes are not even native to Hawaii. And so humans brought mosquitoes a couple hundred years ago. And so, a single mosquito bite is enough to kill many of our bird species. So most of the mosquitoes are primarily in the lowlands. And so most of our birds now are in the upper elevations. With climate change, we've documented the mosquitoes moving up in elevation. They're moving into the last habitat for the native birds, unfortunately.
So to help track which species are surviving, Patrick and his students scattered hundreds of audio recording devices around the mountain.
Oh, hey, there's the song meter.
Oh, yeah. Each one is capable of recording non-stop for 2 months.
All right, so it's 85% use on the SD card and 100% battery.
That's good news.
The information that they gather helps them map out where the species are surviving and where they're disappearing. One issue, these recorders capture hundreds of hours of audio. It's far too much for any human to sift through manually. So they needed a way to listen faster than any human could, which is why Patrick and his students teamed up with Google DeepMind and their AI software Perch. In a matter of minutes, the software can sift through all of that audio and divide it up and sort it by species.
Well, you speed up the process and you're able to do things you were never able to do before. Once we get 100 recorders out somewhere, then suddenly you're looking at tens of thousands of hours of audio. You're able to sort of have an expert, in a sense, be in all of those places at all of those times at once, right? So we're really able to accelerate what the experts are able to do as they try to interpret what's going on the ground.
So these kind of check mark looking things are likely a bird called amakihi, and that's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for an EEV, and I know that it kind of makes this boop, boop, boop.
The students confirm the AI's detections, which then feeds back to the system. AI is everywhere right now, and it's often been criticized for its environmental impact. Perch kind of flips that on its head, doesn't it? It's being used for conservation. Would you describe it as that?
My goal is really to use these tools to help understand the natural world and better protect what we have and understand what sort of actions we can take to restore where we can as well. These are things that, ecologists have been trying bit by bit to get on top of for decades. And I'm hopeful that as we get more of these sort of broad observations over larger land areas, we'll just get a better understanding of how ecosystems actually thrive.
Patrick's team is in a race against time, but they really hope that this combination of fieldwork and AI can help turn things around.
My dream is to be able to detect a species that we've considered extinct, to detect it by its call. I hope that we're able to contribute to the really massive effort across the state to change the trajectory of birds from declining to increasing. My biggest hope and goal is to be able to see native birds just, taking nectar or eating fruit from trees in my backyard down in Hilo, Hawaii, where I live. And you rarely see native forest birds down there now, but that would be something I could only hope for in the future.
Patrick is the man, isn't he?
He's so
those
cute.
bird calls are spot on as well.
Amazing.
Can you give us an impression now?
No, my impressions are awful, but it's worth noting that Tom from Google DeepMind was telling me during the interview I had with him that Perch was trained on this software for birds because there's over 10,000 species of birds, and if you can train the software to, differentiate between these 10,000 species, then who knows what you could do with it. And so now they've opened it up to other mammals. They're using it underwater for bioacoustics, so like coral reefs, and to see where they're disappearing and reappearing. So I think this technology can have such a huge impact on conservation.
And I think on the AI pros and cons, for me at least, this feels like a massive pro, right? And they were saying they've been trying to get on top of this for 10 years, and this is just giving everyone the capacity. Conservation takes so long, and it's so time intensive. So to do that, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
That's the biggest thing that I took away from that video. The amount of time they're saving, having to not go through all those files and listen manually, it's must be a lifesaver for them, and it's not only in that area as well. Like AI is doing that, saving people time in loads of other areas as well, like health, medicine, like any kind of research. I guess it's just amazing for that.
And I totally, not to be biased, but I think that is so much more worthwhile than using it to help write an email. Otherwise that you could probably do. And in terms of how we use the energy,
I will stop using it to write emails, okay?
And I think as well, so much of the conversation since AI has blown up in the way it has now has been around taking away people's jobs. And obviously I think, don't get me wrong, that is a concern in certain areas, but this is another example, I think, of AI not actually replacing humans, and you always need that human component, and instead it's actually just improving and making it more efficient, essentially.
I think AI and technology in general is at its best when it kind of augments the human experience. And you had mentioned AI's use in healthcare and how it's, AI has been said to detect cancer 5 years before a physician might be able to see it, but you still need that expert and that physician to come in and say, yes, that is cancer. And those two working together to take out all that lengthy labor and then just go to the human and say, this is what I'm seeing, is this correct? And to have that check off, I think that is how AI is really going to transform the way we live every day.
Yeah, we said that with the AI in tennis.
That's what I thought about.
Yeah, it works best in conjunction with the human, sort of hand-holding, helping them in their work, but not taking over.
And to not continue to just agree with everyone. I think too, one of the big things is working out what, you mentioned this before the break, but working out what we want to use AI and the energy that it uses it for. So finding a purpose and then using it kind of responsibly, not to be a big nerd about it, but we know it's going to use a lot of energy, so should we use it for this, or should we maybe wait, do that ourselves, and then use it for something like conservation? To your point, people think about turning the tap off when you're cleaning your teeth to save water, things like that.
I think AI should be banned for doing silly little things like the emails and the calendar
social media
and
posts,
the writing itineraries.
Oh, the social media posts.
I think ban it for that kind of stuff.
I have some comments on social media usage and when it comes to AI.
Yeah, we're seeing it a lot, right? My feeds are full of AI.
Constantly.
And I hate it. I really don't like it,
And I think definitely using it for conservation, thank you, like you said, is way, way more worthwhile than it is for using it to make, like you said, silly videos on social media, which is now taking up so much time.
I've said it before, and you guys have heard me say this, we can't roll back the dice anymore. AI is here, it's going to stay, we have to learn how to best use it, and, hopefully more and more data centers can be on the renewable grid, and we can learn to power them that way, and we're using AI for things that can actually benefit us as a human race. Social media, on the other hand, AI-generated videos, writing emails, or, breakup texts to your significant other.
I have to agree with you on that one. And on that point, actually, we've got some interesting AI and social media news to get to after the break, too.
I'm looking forward to this.
So, Vine is back.
Vine is
as Divine. I have to say I'm absolutely delighted about that. I don't know about you guys, but I was obsessed with Vine back in the day. Even to this day, so much of my vocab, and there's so many of those videos still ingrained within my brain.
And it's been gone for almost 10 years, right? You said 20.
I had it on my iPod Touch. Like, I remember, and I was 15, so I'm not sure if I was meant to be on it. And I'd be like, oh yeah, let's see what's happening on Vine today.
That makes me feel old, actually.
It's
iPod
amazing.
Touch.
It's amazing how just 6 seconds of content like could captivate an entire generation.
Such a good hook.
Weird though that like now 6 seconds is like the perfect amount of time for a video on TikTok. Like the algorithm loves 6-second videos. And yet, that's what we were doing 10 years
It's
ago.
full circle.
Full
We've
circle.
gone all the way through. It's like fashion.
Yeah, like YouTube videos were longer in between, and now we've just gone back.
And for me, the exciting thing, so like you said, Vine's coming back as DVine. They're bringing back, I think, like 100,000 archive videos that they had. It's backed by Twitter's founder, Jack Dorsey, which.
Wasn't he the one that got rid of it in the first place?
Yeah, so Twitter bought it in 2012, and then it shut down in you said 2016, right? 2015, 2016?
Around that time.
But what Jack has said is that they are going to screen and prevent AI-generated content from being published on the app. And for me, that's like, sign me up.
Yeah,
like,
I love that. I love
I'll
that.
be checking
I'm
that box.
so sick of seeing AI-generated content.
Me too.
Like,
Yeah.
It was funny at first.
Yeah. I mean, I say, don't get me wrong, the novelty at first, I was like obsessed with like dancing AI cat videos. It was super fun.
Yeah.
But now I'd say so much of my feed is just relentless, and I want to see real things. I want to see real people, real events.
Yeah.
And the novelty, I mean, for me, has long worn off since it's come onto social
I
media.
agree.
Yeah.
Like the Queen Elizabeth rapping
Yes.
was funny, but like you see it once and then it's like it's not
Yeah.
that funny anymore.
I
after.
hate the process of trying to work it out too. Like for
Yeah.
me, if I can't tell if it's real or not, I'm just shutting the app. Like, I don't want to waste my time doing that. If I'm on
Yeah.
social media, it's because I'm doing something in my spare time.
Yeah.
Like, I
That's
don't
the
wanna look.
scary thing to
Yeah.
me. It's like at first it was like, oh, this is AI, it's funny, it's cute, it's we can laugh about it. But now it's getting so good
Yeah.
that it's the ability to differentiate between, is that real, is that AI? Like, I'll see an incredible video and I'm like, is that real or is that AI?
I
And it
know.
takes away from real people's
Yeah,
creativity
yeah.
or like a real, stunt that someone might be doing, or, when it comes to sports and you're like, is that?
Yeah.
And just that questioning that is so scary.
Yeah, it gets boring. And you're right on the creativity point. Like, I'd much rather see people creating cool stuff. That is the kind of thing that inspires me. And having to sift past all these videos, like AI slop is what they call it, right? it just like takes away from that.
But I don't know if we're in the minority for that, because I reckon there must be other people who enjoy it. We just don't.
There must be
Yeah.
demand for it.
Yeah, what were you saying about YouTube?
Yeah, some of the fastest growing channels on YouTube produce just AI
Yeah,
content
that's
only.
shocking.
So there are people that watch it and just watch it.
And it kind of goes back to that conversation of like using AI. I mean, I get there's a lot of people out there that will say, well, AI is a tool for us to be more creative and to kind of get your thoughts out there. But there's better ways to use AI and the energy it consumes. And I don't, for me, content creation isn't one of them. I know there will always be a place for it, but.
Yeah.
On the AI Enviro point, I hate to think how much energy that's using up.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like to make
Yeah,
those
yeah.
videos.
I think humans' best asset is their creativity, so we shouldn't be like limiting that, in my opinion. But hey, look, this isn't like the last time we're going to talk about AI on this show. I feel like it's going to come up again and again, but that's all we have time for today.